I think one of the big secrets about Shaun King that most people might not realize is that his support base is like white progressives and not, well, I don't want to say there's no black supporters of Shaun King, because there probably are many, many. But the high profile people who prop him up tend to be, at least what I see, white people. As exemplified by this story here, where DeRay McKesson, Black Lives Matter activist, is once again calling out Shaun King. It's really interesting. Shaun King's been accused of theft, fraud, a bunch of other stuff. And I think there's obviously animosity. I think when you have these kind of fights between two different groups, the truth is closer to the middle. I think it's fair to point out Shaun King is an opportunist. That's my opinion. I do think some of his counterpoints are fair, however. One of the things he says is failure is not fraud. Just because he raises money and then is really bad at what he does doesn't mean he's tricking people. He's just not good at things. That's fair. Never attribute to malice that which can be explained by incompetence, right? Well, here's the story. Black Lives Matter supporter DeRay McKesson blasts Shaun King. And I want to get into some of the other criticisms because boy, is Shaun King getting torn up. Jason Whitlock saying that Shaun King's entire public existence has been built on the obvious fraud that he's black. We'll come back to that. But I will stress this point. I believe even by Shaun King's own story about his life, he is whiter than I am. Let's read him. From the Daily Wire. They say on Thursday, civil rights activist and Black Lives Matter supporter DeRay McKesson accused Black Lives Matter supporter Shaun King of a lack of integrity, saying that King is like the power dynamic of the system McKesson opposes, which willingly sacrifices the vulnerable to protect itself and replaces truth with convenient lies. Writing in Medium, McKesson delineates how he feels King has not been completely honest, saying, "A movement is only as strong as its integrity. Part of our collective work is to protect this integrity even when, or especially when, doing so is uncomfortable or hard. It is in this spirit, that I write, to address a lapse of integrity within the activism community so glaring that to be silent is to be complicit." Now look, conservatives have long called out Shaun King. They're not on his side, so of course they'll call him out and they'll try and find as many holes as they can. One of the big exposés was that Shaun King was white. In response, Shaun King came out and said, actually, his mom cheated on his dad or something to that effect. I don't want to get it wrong, but that's basically it. Based on that story and him being only partially black, but that story, he's basically whiter than I am because I'm 25% not. But let's read on. McKesson notes that King has deleted all of his tweets and told people that he would no longer be involved in organizing or fundraising, but that claim did not come true. McKesson writes sardonically, "It is important to note that Shaun's journalism has done some good by bringing attention to stories that may have gone underreported or overlooked. But the person who paints your house before he steals your car has still committed theft." So we'll just read on. McKesson opines that King deflects from the issues raised against him and often bullies and intimidates those who ask questions at all, turning his ire especially at black women, attempting to scare inquirers into silence. McKesson writes, "The love for our people must be greater than the love of any one person. Shaun has continued to thrive because many people cannot believe they have been duped, used, or taken advantage of. His choices are so sweeping and brazen in their manipulation that they compromise others, compromise the collective work, and compromise a shared sense of integrity." So here's the thing. Like I said, the right will attack Shaun King, but the left gives him a pass, typically, because he's on their side. And that's what we see all the time in tribal politics. People don't want to hold their own to account. I've seen it with police brutality instances and activists. You know, one of the funniest things about Occupy Wall Street is these activists would tell me that the police refuse to cross the thin blue line, meaning if one cop does something wrong, no cop's going to rat him out. And that's how corruption is bred in the police departments. They would actually bring that up. And then they would say, snitches get stitches. And I'd scratch my head because I'm like, you realize that's the exact same thing. Activists say, if you rat on one of us, snitches get stitches. But the cops are corrupt because they won't speak out about the other officers doing bad things. Great. Welcome to the club. Nobody wants to hold their own accountable, and I want nothing part of this stuff. This is why I hate tribalism. I don't care. Good on DeRay for calling out Shaun King, and he's done it in the past. My understanding, at least, it's not the first time he's done this. So good for him. That's integrity. Check this out. Here's the other issue. They won't even challenge whether or not Shaun King is white or black. And you can see other people have no problem doing it. I don't know to what, this is Jason Whitlock. I don't know how he aligns. I don't want to say he's left or right. I'm just seeing a tweet that I saw posted in response. He said, Shaun King's entire public existence has been built on the obvious fraud that he's black. Tricked Oprah into paying for him to go to college. And once a year, like clockwork, someone writes a piece detailing his financial fraud. Shaun King's life epitomizes cultural appropriation. Actually, I want to refresh this to see if there's been any updates. Any other statements? So I've seen now multiple instances where black activists, like people who are actually fighting against racism and highlighting the challenges in their community, have called out Shaun King as being a manipulator, as being a fraud. But what do I end up seeing? White progressives defending him. It's the most mind-blowing thing, because it's like, you'd think you would take the side of someone like DeRay, who is telling you this is a problem in our community. They don't. They prop him up. And again, I'm not saying it's only white people, but it's like, at the very least, these and the reason I'm highlighting the white progressives is because they're the ones who are preaching about racism, how everyone else is racist. You'd think based on their own ideology, they'd back away and say, leave us out of it. Instead, they empower this guy. Shaun King has called for overt acts of terror. I kid you not, he had to delete the tweet thread praising acts of terror. Let's read a little bit more, and then I want to, I'll do this now. We live in a world where Shaun King can come from a white family, be accused of being white by other black activists, and then use a story about his mom cheating on him to say he's actually part, biracial. But look, come on, man. I'm not going to call him a liar. I believe it's probable he's, mixed to a certain degree. But seriously, you take a look at his picture. I've shown his photo to people. They don't view him as a black man. And that's not my opinion. I'm not trying to besmirch the racial identity because people say similar things to me, like, oh, you're just a white guy. You don't understand. I'm sure the dude's experienced stuff, same as me. But I'm going to point to the other black activists who want to call him out. So we live in a world where Shaun King can be called out for accused of fraud and, enriching himself over and over again, be accused of not even being black in the first place and championing Black Lives Matter. And at the same time, Daryl Davis, who is a black man, can be called a white supremacist by the far left. Daryl Davis spoke at an event I sponsored, and he talked about de-radicalizing white supremacists. For that, the guy who's actually a renowned, famous hero in terms of racial politics and de-radicalization was called a white supremacist. Meanwhile, Shaun King gets a pass all day and night. How is it that someone who's actually an activist like DeRay McKesson, or someone who actually has experience in these issues, other black activists, can call him out saying he's the fraud? What does he say? It's built on the obvious fraud that he's black, meaning he's not. How is it that he can get a pass and raise money and continue to do this over and over and over again? So we will read a little bit more ending this story and see. Here's some of the direct accusations. McKesson notes that King claimed Justice Together raised a $10,000 donation from a board member and a $17,500 grant, but he later said he returned 100% of the donations raised, but those two donations stopped appearing in records. McKesson adds, to date, it is not clear that Shaun filed the appropriate taxes for Justice Together, as there is no 990 form available for public review from the IRS website. McKesson claims King took credit for other people's work, noting King saying he raised $34.5 million since 2014. McKesson adds, he takes credit for 100% of all funds raised for any fundraiser whose link he has ever posted online. In an email blast or retweeted, he knew this logic was misleading at best. McKesson delineates other actions by King that he feels demonstrate a lack of integrity, including matters involving Real Justice PAC, the North Star, Flip the Senate, and Red Records, among others. Basically, Shaun King is a Twitter account. That's what he does. He'll post a link, and when money comes in, he'll add it to his numbers. It's a very savvy business person thing to do, but not something you would ascribe to integrity. You would not claim he is being an honest activist when he's doing this. He is making a career. He is building up followers, and he's inserting his name. At least the allegations state. All I can really say is the dude has lied. I've called him out for lies, overt lies. At the very least, he's just putting out misinformation. I'll break this down this way. He has gone on stream, he has tweeted things out that are factually not true and have caused dangerous circumstances. Very, very dangerous things. He has falsely accused people of crimes they didn't commit. And he's gotten a lot of flack for it. It's like he's, you know, I hate to use this word, but if ever there was someone I could say I probably would believe to be a grifter, it's going to be Shaun King, not because of what I see him do. I can absolutely say he's just bad at everything. But when you have DeRay McKesson himself saying enough, every year, like clockwork, this seems to be happening, at least that's what Jason Whitlock says. So I'm just rather frustrated. It's frustrating to see someone like Shaun King get a free pass from many people, not the higher profile activists, good on them, but someone like Daryl Davis gets attacked by the far left. Integrity isn't among these people, within these people. There are people who support Shaun King, and they don't care. They just want to win. So you'll have people come out and actually say he's hurting us, and they'll say, so what? We're winning. And I've heard it before. I kid you not, I have heard it before. They say it is better that we have the power, regardless of what Shaun King does. No, it isn't. You're bad people. The ends don't justify the means because you will never meet the end. Stick around. I got one. The next segment will be coming up at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel, and I will see you all there.